Well, at that time, so this is like the late 90s, the indie film scene was really taking off. So there were a lot of super interesting creative things happening. All the film festivals were new. I think it was different than it is now. But yeah, the Lisa script, Cholodenko script came along. I fell in love with that role. I really wanted to be able to play that part. I auditioned, and then it worked out. And it was, there's a few jobs that you have. There's a few roles that will come along in a career. At least for me, that would be my most favorite roles or films. That is certainly one of them. Also, again, working on the film was an absolute joy. The cast, Lisa, everybody, the writing, the way they were shooting it, it was just, I didn't know how the film was going to turn out, but I was loving every moment of playing Lucy. That's for sure.
Any highlights of that? Like, just, is there any like fun thing from set or something that sticks out in your mind?
Patricia Clarkson is so brilliant and so imaginative, and so she just has this wild freedom about her. I had so much trouble in some of the scenes with Patricia because she would just make me laugh or come up with some line. That accent that she had, and that whole character, what she did with that whole character, that the really fun moments. I remember a lot of things filming that I loved filming, but the moments that make me smile when I think about them are the moments when Patty would just come out with something, and it was impossible. It was almost impossible to just stay in there because she's hysterical.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. And your character wasn't exactly someone who was cracking jokes every other scene, so.
No. And the thing was, we would be in the rhythm with each other, and it was in there with Lucy and the whole thing, and it was all working. It was all great. And then I would go off camera. It was the close up on Patty, and suddenly she would do something or have some moment, and it was just almost impossible to keep quiet. I would be sitting there and Lisa would be next to me, just like shaking with laughter and trying not to make any noise.
That's so funny.
I know.
Well, being from New York City myself, I have to say, I saw you at the James Street Theater Playhouse in Hedwig in the Angry Inch. I was there.
Oh, great.
What was that like? I mean, you were the first woman to play this role. I mean, when you think at this point, of Ali Sheedy, everything, you don't think like, okay, this is like I call it like a rock opera, like this character, like how did this part come to you? What did you love about, like, talk to me about the Hedwig experience.
So it was, there's so many different things going on there. So I had been at Sundance for, I think it was the screenwriters workshop. I'm not sure, but anyway, John Cameron Mitchell was there developing Hedwig into a movie. Into a movie. I think it was a director's workshop, I'm not sure. And we really got along, and I watched the video of his stage of him as Hedwig. And loved it. How can you not fall in love with him? And so then I was we were talking, and he had this idea that it could be interesting if I tried it. The problem is that I don't have that. Two things. One, I don't have that voice, and Hedwig needs to have that rock voice, right? So I did my best, but it's not there. And the other thing is, now I understand that actually there was something that was that was not okay about a woman playing that part, which has to do with gender and transgender and a whole other thing going on that I have a lot more insight into it now, but at the time I really didn't. So, all sorts of mixed bags in there. I wish I had a rock opera voice, but I loved the monologue. It took a big leap of faith to play that part. It took a lot of courage.
I thought you were great at it, so I don't know what you're talking about. Thank
you. Bye. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Would you, I mean, like to your point, like you said, because I didn't necessarily even, but would you not take the role now? Like if you were offered it just because of all these, like you mentioned, like the transgender issues and like a different
I
understanding
don't
of
think
it?
that an offer for that would come along. I think that people are much more sensitive to the larger cultural story. I mean, obviously, John is right in the mix there, and it wasn't something that was a problem for him. But I did know, reading some different things and understanding some things at the time, that there was a problem with that politically in the world of off Broadway and gender fluid, gender queer, transgender community. But now I understand it a lot more. I don't think that someone would cast a woman as a role of a transgender male to female part. That doesn't fly anymore. I understand why,
That makes sense to me. And I would probably
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you want to do you like live theater? Like, is theater something you want to do more of? I mean, you're busy with this great show, which we're going to talk about in a second, but like, is that something you'd like to do?
I don't love being on stage, actually. I really love being on a film set. That's where I feel comfortable. I've done it. I've done some plays. I did this and that. I don't love it. I have lots of friends and colleagues who adore theater and being on stage. It's just kind of not my thing. I'm happier on a set, and it's inexplicable, but that's just what it is.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I know so many actors and actresses that are doing so much TV and movies, and they're like, man, I just wish that like I had a moment to just do some live theater and fit it in there. And
Yeah, I know. I wish I felt that way, but I don't, to be honest, I don't.
interesting. Well, talk to me about Single Drunk Female. Like I said, I love this freaking show. How did this come about for you? Like, how did you get involved?
Um, I love the show too, and it starts with the writing. Right off starts with the writing. It's wonderful writing. So Simone Finch had written the pilot for it. She's the writer. It's very much Simone's story. And she and Jenny Connor and Leslie Headland and Phil Trail, that was the original group. And then Daisy Gardner came on later as showrunner. But the script, I read the script for the pilot, and I met with, via Zoom, Jenny and Simone and Leslie. And look, I fell in love with Carol right away just from that first script, and the dynamic that was right there already between Carol and Sam, who is Sophia's character. These are the women, these are the people I've always wanted to work with, Jenny, Leslie, and Simone.
Yeah.
So when we were in the meeting, I was thinking, these are the people I wanted to work with, these women for such a long time. And here's this wonderful script. So it was just a gift that it came along. And Sophia is just a dream. She's just a dream of an actor. She's just wonderful. So that's the show really works because of her.
I mean, look, you've been in this business, you're a professor. Did you learn, and you learned stuff from Sean Penn? Did you learn anything from Sophia? I mean, even though you have so many more years in this business than her?